Yo, what up, what up, what up, what up? Yes, indeed, we are live. What's up? What's good? Thursday, July 8th, 2021. What's good, good people? What's up? We're back. And we're going to be definitely getting into part 2 of what we started off with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Bill Cosby. All right. So this is part 2. And I said I was going to start off where I ended off. And that was like page 13 of this opinion document, which I said was pretty straightforward and clear. Easy to read language. Not a lot of legal jargon and a lot of nonsense. And part of that reason was because I wanted to see this for myself, although I heard what I heard. And then other people have been saying a lot of things. And I wanted to make sure when I was reading it that some of the stuff I was hearing people say didn't match up with what I was reading. All right. So that goes to show that sometimes, or who knows, maybe all the time, you don't want to just go on and start saying stuff without getting the facts. It's always good to get facts before you start saying a few things here and there, unless you just want to give your opinion on something, but you could end up being wrong. And depending on what it is you're talking about, it can be very detrimental to you in some type of way if you don't have the facts right. So it's always good to know the facts. All right. So what's going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all. And we're going to get started, man. All right. You know what it is. You rocking with the best thoughts of the week. Let's get it.
Do you know what you're listening to? You're listening to Thoughts of the Week. Oh, how's that?
Yeah. So we back. All right. And before I get started. All right. Before I get started, for those who have Black-owned businesses and you want to get some more publicity about your business, you have a product, a service, an event, a website you want to promote, and you want to be able to do it for free, you can come on live. I want to start this show. I originally started the show probably a year or two ago, but then I've started thinking that I didn't want to just do it for my stuff. I wanted to expand it out for others who wanted to promote their stuff. And so I want to start or relaunch the Sell It Saturday show. And if you don't mind being on live and showing your face and showing what you got, a product, service, a business, a website, an event you might have coming up, and you want to promote that, there is a link in the description. You fill out the form. As you're reading the form and filling it out, it'll kind of explain what's going on and what you need to do. Very simple, kind of straight to the point form. You can fill out, and like I said, it'll give you a description of what's going on. The show is going to be a live show. I want it to be a live show. Do it on Saturdays live, and maybe like in the morning time, maybe close to an afternoon time, and maybe sometimes an early afternoon show or a late morning show. And you guys can promote your product. All right. And you just do it live, bring you in on, the backstage, and then bring you on live. You promote a couple of products of yours, and you could do it in any combination. You might have an event that's going on, and you might have a product you're selling. So that's two things. You could promote the event and the product, or you might have a product and a service. You could promote those two things. So I just wanted to be two of whatever you want to promote. That way, if I have a lot of people who want to get on, that'll give everybody some fair time to promote their stuff without just having one person promoting 1,000 things. All right. And then you can come on as many times as you like. You can continue to promote the same products if you want live, or you can promote new stuff every time a new show comes on. So if you know anybody who's running a Black-owned business, they Black, they have some products or services or a website or an event they want to promote, or if you want to do the same thing, fill out click the link in the description about Sell It Saturday and fill it out. We'll get in contact with you and we get this live show popping. All right. But you got to come on live. In order to do it free, you come on live. Now, if you want somebody to push your stuff out there without you being there, that's going to cost. All right. But if you want to come on free and promote your product, your business, your website, or your event, whatever you got going on, if it's Black related, Black owned, I should say, then you could do that free on the show. All right. So fill out the form in the description. It'll give you some details of what it's about, and we can get that rocking. All right. Outside of that, what's up, everybody watching me on Twitch? I'm not on Twitch right now to see if anybody's checking out the show. But if you guys are watching me right now live, what's up to y'all? I just started. I kind of upgraded some things with StreamYard and now able to go live to a few more destinations now. And I'm probably going to look into going live on a few others like D Live and maybe a few other places too. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So shout out to y'all on Twitch. All right. By the way, for you guys who are watching me on Twitch or checking this out and you want to look at previous episodes, you have to go to YouTube at Norwood Media Studios, or you can go to Facebook at Norwood Media Studios, and you can check out past podcast broadcasts to kind of get you up to speed if you like. All right. Other than that, you're getting the current episodes live. All right. So I think that's all the announcements I think I have right this second that I can think of. All right. So let's get started, man. Let's get started. We're going to start off with page 14. I think I ended at page 13. Right. So I'm going to read a little bit more. I don't know how much I'm going to read. But like I said, the amount I read on part 1 should give you basically the gist of what's going on or what went down and why Bill Cosby got off. All right. A lot of people have been doing a lot of complaining and whining and stuff like that. But that's constitutional rights of somebody, regardless of what you think they did or if they did something or didn't do something. That's violating those constitutional rights, if I'm not mistaken. And so some people might not care and go, oh, so what? But the thing is, that could happen to you. So you might want to think about that. And maybe you didn't do something, a particular crime, and they still try to violate I think that's your constitutional rights, promising you something, and then don't go by that promise. And you sitting up in jail for 3 years before you get out. All right. And then a lot of people was mentioning, I'm just kind of recapping a little bit. Then a lot of people were mentioning about he was giving quaaludes and that. I'm not going to say the R word, because some channels or some social media platforms are real funny with words, but you know what I'm talking about. He was never accused of the R word. He was accused of sexual assault. And so far, what I did read, she didn't mention that she was the R word either. All right. So take it for what it is. You heard me? You heard me? So anyway, let's get started with page 14. And I think I put the link in the description. If you guys want to read it yourself again, you can get the facts on your own. Like I said, you have to have the facts sometimes on certain things instead of just kind of blurting out stuff and don't really know what's going on or what you're talking about. Sometimes it's just good to know the facts about things. I mean, you can always give your opinion on stuff, but sometimes it can bite you in the butt here and there once in a while. So every now and then it's always good to get the facts. All right. So this is the facts as it stands, as we see it or know it. All right. So let's start, man. Let's get on this page 14. Let's get it cracking. Let's get it crack-a-lacking. All right. So at the deposition, Cosby testified that he developed a romantic interest in Constance as soon as he met her, but did not reveal his feelings. He acknowledged that he always initiated the in-person meetings and visits to his home. He also stated that he engaged in consensual sexual activity with Constance and on 3 occasions, including the January 2004 incident. Throughout the depositions, Cosby identified the pills that he provided to Constance in 2004 as Benadryl. Cosby claimed to know the effects. Cosby claimed to know the effects of Benadryl well, as he frequently took 2 of the pills to help himself fall asleep. Thus, when Constance arrived at his house on the night in question, stressed, tense, and having difficulty sleeping, Cosby decided to give her 3 half pills of Benadryl to help her relax. According to Cosby, Constance took the pills without asking what they were, and he did not volunteer that information to her. Cosby explained that after 15 or 20 minutes, he suggested that they move from the kitchen to the living room, where Constance met him after going to the restroom. Cosby testified that Constance sat next to him on the couch and they began kissing and touching each other. According to Cosby, they lay together on the couch while he touched her breast and inserted his fingers inside her vagina. Afterwards, Cosby told her to try to get some sleep, and then he went upstairs to his bedroom. He came back downstairs 2 hours later to find Constance awake. He then escorted her to the kitchen where they had a muffin and tea. Cosby was questioned about his telephone conversations with Constance's mother. Cosby admitted that he told Constance and her mother that he would write down the name of the pills that he gave her and then send it to them, but he failed to do so. He further explained that he would not admit what the pills were over the phone with Constance and her mother because he did not want Constance's mother to think that he was a perverted old man who had drugged her daughter. He also noted that he had suspected that the phone calls were being recorded. All right. Although he did not believe that Constance was making these allegations in an attempt to get money from him, Cosby explained that after Constance and her mother confronted him, he offered to pay for her education and asked his attorney to commence discussions regarding setting up a trust for that purpose. Cosby admitted that it would be in his best interest if the public believed that Constance had consented to the encounter and that he believed he would suffer financial consequences if the public believed that he had drugged and assaulted her. All right. Notably, during his depositions, Cosby confessed that in the past, he provided Quaaludes, not Benadryl, to other women with whom he wanted to have sexual intercourse. Eventually, Constance settled her civil suit with Cosby for $3.38 million. Initially, the terms of the settlement and the records of the case, including Cosby's depositions, were sealed. However, following a media request, the federal judge who presided over the civil suit unsealed the records in 2015 from a media request. By that point, then DA Castor had moved on from the district attorney's office, and was serving as a Montgomery County commissioner. All right. Now we're getting into some other stuff here. All right, I'm going to read that again. By that point, then D.A. Castor had moved on from the district attorney's office and was serving as a Montgomery County commissioner. He was succeeded as district attorney by his former first assistant, Risa Vetri Furman, Esquire. Despite her predecessor's decision not to prosecute Cosby, upon release of the civil records, District Attorney Furman reopened the criminal investigation of Constand's allegations. Let me see. Quaalude, this is going to break some things down here. Quaalude is a brand name for methaqualone or qualone, a central nervous system depressant that was a popular recreational drug from the 1960s through the 1980s until the federal government classified methaqualone or qualone as a controlled substance. Constand also received $20,000 from American Media Incorporated, which was a party to the lawsuit as a result of an interview that Cosby gave to the National Enquirer about Constand's allegations. D.A. Furman, now Judge Furman, was subsequently elected to a seat on the Court of Common Pleas of Montgomery County. All right, so those are some things to note here. Where you got Esquire number 10, you got number 9 here, and then number 8 with the Quaaludes. All right, so it says, then first assistant district attorney Kevin R. Steele was present during the initial stages of the newly revived investigation and participated in early discussions with Cosby's new lawyers, Brian McMonigal and Patrick J. O'Connor. On September 23rd, 2015, upon learning that D.A. Furman had reopened the case, former D.A. Castor sent her an email to which he attached his February 17, 2005 press release stating the following. Dear Risa, I certainly know better than to believe what I read in the newspaper, and I have witnessed firsthand your legal acumen. So you almost certainly know this already. I'm writing to you just in case you might have forgotten what we did with Cosby back in 2005. Attached is my opinion from then. Once we decided that the chances of prevailing in a criminal case were too remote to make an arrest, I concluded that the best way to achieve justice was to create an atmosphere where Constand would have the best chance of prevailing in a civil suit against Cosby. With the agreement of Attorney Phillips and Constand's lawyers, I wrote the attached as the only comment I would make while the civil case was pending. Again, with the agreement of the defense lawyer and Constand's lawyer, I intentionally and specifically bound the Commonwealth that there would be no state prosecution of Cosby in order to remove from him the ability to claim his Fifth Amendment protection against self-incrimination, thus forcing him to sit for a deposition under oath. Attorney Phillips was speaking for Cosby's side at the time, but he was in contact with Cosby's civil lawyers who did not deal with me directly that I recall. I only discovered today that Attorney Phillips had died, but those lawyers representing Constand civilly, whose names I did not remember until I saw them in recent media accounts, were part of this agreement because they wanted to make Cosby testify. I believe at the time that they thought making him testify would solidify their civil case, not to prosecute him. So in effect, that is what I did. I never made an important decision without discussing it with you during your tenure as first assistant. Knowing the above, I can see no possibility that Cosby's deposition could be used in a state criminal case because I would have to testify as to what happened, and the deposition would be subject to suppression. I cannot believe any state judge would allow that deposition into evidence, nor anything derived therefrom. All right. So I hope y'all see what I'm reading, what's going on here. All right. So the new attorney who was like the first assistant of the former DA Castor, from what I can tell, she's a female, and she decided she was going to take the, if I'm not mistaken, the civil case deposition and use that for the criminal case to prosecute. When Castor already made a deal telling Cosby he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't, send him to jail or take a criminal case or anything, prosecute him on that, as long as he spoke in the civil case. In efforts, I guess, to help Constant, because he didn't believe that it was enough to go on in order to prosecute Cosby during a criminal trial. All right, so Riza is deciding, I guess, that she was going to take up that criminal case, from what it looks like so far what I'm reading. In fact, that was the specific intent of all parties involved, including the Commonwealth and the plaintiff's lawyer. Knowing this, unless you can make out a case without that deposition and without anything the deposition led you to, I think Cosby would have an action against the county and maybe even against you personally. That is why I have publicly suggested looking for lies in the deposition as an alternative. Now that we have learned all these other victims we did not know about at the time we had made the no-go decision on arresting Cosby. I publicly suggested that the DA in California might try a common plan scheme or design case using Constant's case as part of the res geste in their case. I hope I'm pronouncing it, or re geste. Because I knew Montgomery County could not prosecute Cosby for a sexual offense if the deposition was needed to do so. But I thought the DA in California might have a shot, because I would not have the power to bind another state's prosecutor. All right. Some of this, of course, is my opinion, and using Cosby's deposition in the California case, I guess that is, might be a stretch. But one thing is fact: the Commonwealth defense and civil plaintiff lawyers were all in the agreement that the attached decision from me stripped Cosby of his Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination, forcing him to be deposed. That led to Cosby paying Constant a lot of money, a large percentage of which went to her lawyers on a contingent fee basis. In my opinion, those facts will render Cosby's deposition inadmissible in any prosecution in Montgomery County for the incident that occurred in January 2004 in Cheltenham Township. So I guess he's trying to tell her, like, yo, don't try to use that. Or I heard he was heard that she was using it or trying to, and was like, I don't think that's going to work. But I think she tried to do it anyway, or was able to do it somehow, get away with it, because he did 3 years for it. All right, Bruce, let me see here. Replying by letter, DA Furman asserted that despite the public press release, this was the first she had learned about a binding understanding between the Commonwealth and Cosby. So she claims she ain't heard it before then. But yet, I think he said something about she was his first assistant when he was DA. And something to the effect, if I'm not mistaken, what I just read, that he said that he would always discuss stuff right here. I never made an important decision without discussing it with you during your tenure as first assistant. So either she's saying he never did that, or that he never, I guess in this case here, he never said anything to her, or trying to make him look like he's lying about it. So you can see the kind of stuff that was going on. You can say it was game playing, could be, between them. Let me see, replying. She requested, okay. The attached press release is the written determination that we would not prosecute Cosby. That was what the lawyers for Constant wanted, and I agreed. The reason I agreed and the plaintiff's lawyers wanted it in writing is so that Cosby could not take the Fifth Amendment to avoid being deposed or testifying. A sound strategy to employ. That meant to all involved, including Cosby's lawyer at the time, Mr. Phillips, that what Cosby said in the civil litigation could not be used against him in a criminal prosecution for the event we had him under investigation for in early 2005. I signed the press release for precisely this reason at the request of Constant's counsel and with the acquiescence of Cosby's counsel with full and complete intent to bind the Commonwealth that anything Cosby said in the civil case could not be used against him, thereby forcing him to be deposed and perhaps testify in the civil trial without him having the ability to take the Fifth. All right, so y'all see what's going on there. Excuse me. I decided to create the best possible environment for Constant to prevail and be compensated. That's what the DA Castor was telling Riza. By signing my name as district attorney and issuing the attached, I was signing off on the Commonwealth not being able to use anything Cosby said in the civil case against him in a criminal prosecution, because I was stating the Commonwealth will not bring a case against Cosby for this incident based upon then available evidence in order to help Constant prevail in her civil action. Evidently, that strategy worked. All right. So I hope nobody ever gets in a situation like that. But if you do and you've been promised something by the DA, you better get it in writing, because if the cracks are in the ground there and you fall in those cracks and you ain't get nothing in writing, you'll be stuck in them cracks. All right. The attached, which was on letterhead and signed by me as district attorney, the concept approved by Constant's lawyers, was a written declaration from the attorney for the Commonwealth. There would be no prosecution based on anything Cosby said in the civil action. Notice how I keep saying that several times. Naturally, if a prosecution could be made out without using what Cosby said, without using it or anything derived from what Cosby said, I believe then and continue to believe that a prosecution is not precluded. All right. Despite her predecessor's concerns, DA Riza Furman and the investigators pressed forward. They pressed forward anyway, reopening the criminal case against Cosby. Members of the prosecutorial team traveled to Canada and met with Constant, asking her to cooperate with their efforts to prosecute Cosby, even though she had specifically agreed not to do so as part of the civil settlement. Investigators also began to identify, locate, and interview other women that had claimed to have been assaulted by Cosby. Nearly a decade after DA Castor's public decision not to prosecute Cosby, the Commonwealth charged Cosby with 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. Not the R word that a lot of people are saying, oh, he admitted to R word. None of this in here says any of that. And like I said, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to read this directly, as if we are all sitting in a room together, for those who are watching and those who are listening, as if we're sitting and reading the same thing and one person just reading out loud what everybody's reading along quietly, so you can see what was said and what was not said. Because like I said, there's a narrative out there that he went out there and testified that he did the R word. But you see what they gave him, 3 counts of aggravated indecent assault. All right. Stemming from the January 2004 incident with Constant and Cosby's Cheltenham residence on January 11, 2016. All right. On January 11, 2016, Cosby filed a petition for a writ of habeas corpus. By this time, Mr. Steele had replaced Judge Furman as district attorney. All right. That was number 12 there. 13. Cosby styled the petition as a petition for writ of habeas corpus and motion to disqualify the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. The trial court treated the omnibus motion as three separate motions. One, a motion to dismiss charges based upon the alleged non-prosecution agreement. Number two, a motion to dismiss the charges based seeking dismissal charges inter alia, dismissal of the charges based upon the former DA Castor's purported promise made in his representative capacity on behalf of the Commonwealth that Cosby would not be prosecuted. The Commonwealth filed a response to the motion, to which Cosby replied. From February 3, 2016, the trial court conducted hearings on Cosby's habeas petition, which it ultimately denied. Later in its PA Pennsylvania RAP 1925 opinion, the trial court explained that the only conclusion that was apparent from the record was that no agreement or promise not to prosecute ever existed, only the exercise of prosecutorial discretion. In support of this conclusion, the trial court provided a lengthy summary of what it found to be the pertinent facts developed at the habeas corpus hearing, because our analysis in this case focuses upon the trial court's interpretation of those testimonies we produced, that court synopsis. All right, let me just take a look here. Just kind of browsing through, see if I need to even read this any further, or this part of it anyway. All right. Okay, so this part looks to be what I read earlier, maybe in part one of this show on Monday. The lack of prompt complaint was significant to Mr. Castor in terms of credibility. Yeah, so that's pretty much, if you guys want to read that on your own, that is page 19. All right, we're going to page 20 now. And again, the link is in the description, by the way. All right. So you can always read it on your own, again, if you like, in full. All right. Likewise, he did not recall the specific statement in Pennsylvania: we charge people from criminal conduct. We don't charge people with making a mistake or doing something foolish. However, he indicated that it is a true statement. As part of the 2005 investigation, Cosby gave a full statement to law enforcement in his Pennsylvania and New York homes were searched. Okay, I think I kind of read the details of that. While he did not necessarily agree with the conclusions Mr. Phillips thought would be drawn from the records, Castor directed the police to obtain records. Castor's recollection was that there was an inordinate number of phone contacts between Cosby. I kind of read some details on that. As part of 2005 investigation, allegations made with other women were also investigated. Mr. Castor delegated the investigation to Ms. Furman. He testified that he determined that, in his opinion, these allegations were not unreliable. Following approximately 1 month investigation, Castor concluded that there was insufficient credible and admissible evidence. Okay, I kind of read the details of that on Monday. You can always go back to that episode. All right. Let me see if we got anything further here. Indicated Phillips agreed to anything in exchange. Okay, we got that. Atmosphere of legal conditions such as will never be allowed to assert the fifth. Okay, these looks like they're just kind of reviewing all the stuff. From best I can tell, the deal between Castor and Cosby's team of lawyers and Constant all in agreed for him not to be prosecuted on the criminal tip or on the criminal side, and just testifying in the civil suit. All right, let me see. He included the language must exist in this investigation that could be used by others to portray persons on both sides of the issue in a less than flattering light as a threat to Ms. Constant and her attorneys should they attack his office. In 2016, Philadelphia Inquirer article in a reference to the same sentence, Castor stated, I put in there that if any evidence surfaced that was not admissible, that was admissible, I would revisit the issue, and evidently that is what the DA is doing. He testified that he remembered making the statement, but that it referred to the possibility of a prosecution based on other victims. He testified that the press release was intended for three audiences: the media, the greater legal community, and the litigants. He testified about what meaning he hoped that each audience would glean from the press release. He did not intend for any of the three groups to understand the entirety of what he meant. Okay. The media was to understand only that Cosby would not be arrested. That's what he wanted. That's what Castor wanted the media to understand, that Cosby would not be arrested and pretty much go to jail. Lawyers would parse every word and understand that he was saying there was enough evidence to arrest Cosby, but that Mr. Castor thought the evidence was not credible. So it looks like, I don't want to say game playing because I'm not going to say one way or the other. It could be looked like they playing games. One is acting like, well, we thought he meant like this. He was saying like, yeah, we got something we can arrest him on, and that it was a possibility that he might not be arrested. But he's telling Castor, saying, well, look, I was trying to just let the media know I wouldn't arrest him. And understand that he was saying there was enough evidence. So lawyers are saying, well, I thought he was saying they had enough evidence on him. And I guess trying to say that the civil suit was the evidence. All right. So let me see what this says here. This is page 22. On September 23rd, 2015, apparently in response to this media speculation, unprompted and unsolicited, Mr. Castor sent an email to then District Attorney Riza Vetri Furman. His email indicated, I'm writing you, okay, I read that. I think this is the same thing. I concluded that the best way to achieve justice was to create atmosphere. Okay, I just read that. Cosby, in order to remove from him the ability to claim the fifth, I went into that. They're kind of, I guess, recapping from what it looks like. So let me just scroll down. Again, you can read this in full yourselves. I'm just kind of browsing through quicker and trying to get to something, if there's any new stuff in here that I haven't read. Attorney also testified at the hearing, testified that during the 2005, she had no contact with District Attorney's office. I think I remember reading that. They learned that the criminal case was declined. Yeah, I remember reading that earlier. So I think I'm just going to kind of end it here, maybe. Let me see. Look down further. Decided not to prosecute Cosby. He absolutely intended to remove for all time, the possibility of prosecution. So they keep on. It was like they keep recapping, getting to the point that Castor made it very clear that he was not going to prosecute him in exchange for Cosby to speak in the civil suit. And I guess pretty much give all the information out, or like some people might say, give all the tea. So I guess that's what they was looking for. And I guess in order to help, Castor wanted to help Constant in some way. I guess that would have been like, get her some money. That was kind of mentioned earlier as well. The immunity statute provides, in a relevant part, general rule, immunity orders shall be available under this section in all proceedings before courts. Request and issuance, the attorney general or a district attorney may request an immunity order from any judge or of a designated court, and that judge shall issue such an order when in the judgment of the attorney general or district attorney. The testimony or other information from a witness may be necessary to the public interest, and a witness has refused or is likely to refuse to testify or provide other information on the basis of his privilege against self-incrimination. Okay. Order to testify, some details there. A further support for the view that no agreement was reached nor any promise extended, the trial court noted in his initial statement to police, which was voluntarily provided and not under oath. Cosby did not invoke his Fifth Amendment right. Instead, Cosby presented a narrative of his consensual sexual encounter. All right. So that goes again, talking about, he went on and pretty much said everything that went down, according to him, about the sexual encounters with Constant. I guess thinking to himself, like, okay, they're not going to put me to jail or nothing. So, and criminally, so I'll go in and tell everything civil wise. All right. So yeah, that's what it's looking like here, man. So there might be some new stuff here. I said I was going to read some of this on the Monday's episode, but I decided not to because I wanted to do everything in real time. That way, as I'm reading, I can give my take or my understanding of what it's saying, and you guys can hear the same. And therefore, and if you had any disagreements with the conclusions I'm coming up with, then you could say something on air here, comment on air. So that's why I didn't bother to read it and just waited till today. Janice Baker Kinney. In 1982, Baker Kinney worked at a Harrow's Casino, Reno. During that year, a friend invited her to a party unbeknownst to her was being held at a temporary residence used by Cosby in Reno. At the time, Baker Kinney was 24 years old. Cosby was 45. When Baker Kinney arrived at the residence, she realized that there actually was no party, at least as she understood the term. Besides Cosby, Baker Kinney and her friend were the only people there. Cosby gave Baker Kinney a beer and a pill, which she believed may have been a Quaalude. A short time later, Cosby gave her a second pill. She took both voluntarily. All right. After which she became dizzy and passed out. When she awakened, she was on a couch in another room. Says, y'all women, y'all ladies, be careful when you're dealing with these dudes, man. They offering you stuff. Unless you poured it out the bottle yourself. The bottle was closed and you opened it for the first time. Better be careful. All right. You better be very careful. Her shirt was unbuttoned and her pants were unzipped. Cosby approached, sat next to her. Cosby then leaned her against his chest. He fondled her breasts and her private areas. Still intoxicated, Baker Kinney followed Cosby to an upstairs bedroom. While she was still intoxicated, this is another lady here, Baker Kinney. What was her first name? Janice. All right. Oh, there goes Janice Dickinson. All righty. Anyways, she had no memory of what happened after entering the bedroom until the following morning. When she woke up naked next to Cosby who also was naked. Although she could not remember for sure, Baker Kinney believed that they had sex. She dressed and left. Janice Dickinson. Also in 1982, Janice Dickinson met Cosby. She was 27 years old. Dickinson was an aspiring model, and Cosby contacted a modeling agency to arrange a meeting. Supposedly, Cosby wanted to mentor Dickinson. Along with her agent, Dickinson met with Cosby. Sometime later, while she was on a modeling job, Cosby called her and offered to fly her to Lake Tahoe. There, Dickinson met with Cosby's music director and practiced her vocal skills. At dinner that night, Cosby arrived and met with Dickinson, who was drinking wine. I'm going to say Janice mentioned that she was suffering from menstrual cramps. Cosby provided her with a pill to help relieve the discomfort. The musical director eventually left, and Cosby offered to discuss Dickinson's career in his hotel room. She agreed and accompanied him there. When they got to the room, Cosby put on a robe and made a phone call. Dickinson felt lightheaded and had trouble speaking. Cosby got off the phone, climbed on top of Dickinson, and had sexual intercourse with her. Dickinson stated that she was unable to move and that she passed out after Cosby had finished. When she woke up the next morning, she did not recall how she had arrived at Cosby's room. She was naked from the waist down, had semen on her legs, and felt pain in her anus. All right. And then I guess these are other accounts. I'm not going to keep on reading those. These are different women who I'm taking it. They're giving their statements as to what happened. And there was a lot of stuff in regards to the ladies who were giving a lot of statements here. Let me see what this is. Let me see here. The court then determined that the testimony of 5 prior bad act witnesses and the deposition testimony pertaining to the prior use of Quaaludes was admissible to demonstrate Cosby's common plan, scheme, or design. The trial court reasoned that the similarity and distinctiveness of the crimes bore a logical connection to Constant's allegations and amounted to a signature of the same perpetrator. Comparing the past and present allegations, the court noted that each woman was substantially younger than Cosby and physically fit, that Cosby initiated the contact with each women primarily though her employment, that each woman came to trust Cosby and view him as a friend or mentor, that each woman accepted an invitation to a place that Cosby controlled, that each woman consumed a drink or a pill, often at Cosby's insistence, that each woman became incapacitated and unable to consent to sexual contact, and that Cosby sexually assaulted each woman while each was under the influence of an intoxicant. These chilling similarities, court explained, rendered Cosby's actions so distinctive as to become a signature, and therefore the evidence was admissible to demonstrate a common plan. All right. And there was a lot was said kind of during that time and times past after that about some of these women that testified, their credibility and stuff like that. All right. Prohibited uses, evidence of a person's character. Okay. Again, you guys can read that. The court further determined that prior bad acts. I just read that a little bit, I think. And we're now on page 37. So basically what it's looking like, they went on with the case. They brought on some, if I'm not mistaken, the parts that I read, the riser lady, the one who took over for Castor, who was, I guess, his first assistant at some point when he was the DA, took over the case, used the, I guess in some way used the civil suit deposition stuff that Cosby mentioned to help in the prosecution. And then however these ladies came out, they came out and started giving their little sides of what happened. And so that was their reasoning as to, let me see, before trial, the Commonwealth, their reasoning to charge Cosby. Before trial, the Commonwealth sought to introduce evidence of a R word for which Tyson had been convicted. What is this now? Are they talking about Mike Tyson or somebody else? Oh, Jamil Omar Tyson brought food to his victim who was feeling ill. I guess this is another case they probably used to bring up the similarities. And again, I'm skimming through this, so if you have a different thought or you thinking, well, that's not what it's saying, or feel free to correct me, but make sure you read stuff through. Like I said, I am skimming through Monday's episode. I read from the beginning to page 13. The Superior Court, we on page 42 now. The Superior Court dealt separately with Cosby's Rule 404 challenge to the use of his deposition. Okay, testimony regarding his provision of Quaaludes to women in the past. The court rejected Cosby's attempts to draw a hard distinction between Quaaludes and Benadryl, and noted that the jury was free to disbelieve Cosby's assertion that he only provided Constant with Benadryl. The court credited the Commonwealth's argument that Cosby's familiarity with Quaaludes was suggestive of his mens rea, in as much as it was highly probative of the circumstances known to him for the purposes of determining whether he acted with the requisite mens rea or mens rea for the offense of aggravated indecent assault recklessness. Moreover, Cosby's knowledge of the use of central nervous system depressants, coupled with his likely past use of the same with the prior bad acts witnesses, were essential to resolving the otherwise he said, she said nature of Constant's allegations. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna end it right there. Okay, you guys can read further, but what I've read Monday and today pretty much gives you the breakdown for those who may not understand why he was let go or didn't get it, or even some of the statements of people saying he admitted to the R word, and how you say it in Spanish, violación, violación in Spanish. A lot of people were saying that, oh, he admitted to it, but I read it and he didn't admit to that at all. And he wasn't even charged with that particular charge. So, and then there was the thing about the Quaaludes and the Benadryl. He openly stated he gave the lady Constant Benadryl. He said in past years, if I'm not mistaken, what I read, that yeah, he has used Quaaludes before with other women. I think I remember reading that specifically. All right. So there you have it, man. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And again, like I said, you guys can feel free and read it yourselves, break it down for yourself. All right. And again, there's a lot to learn from it, and on a whole, a lot of different angles. From a standpoint of, if you get arrested and you get promised something, definitely have it put in writing. Make sure it's out there, because especially if you didn't do something, you got accused of something, and then for whatever reason, the courts push it through and you still got to go to jail. And you got some good lawyers that can look that stuff up and say, look, this attorney made a deal. It's in writing. He even went on TV and admitted it in the media that he wouldn't be prosecuted. So that's violating his rights. So from that standpoint, that's a lesson to be learned. You've seen a lot of women have went on. And now I don't know with the other women, if they heard about, I'm sure they have heard about it to some degree, about what was going on with Constant and Cosby. If what all was being said was true from Constant's end, you've seen that she even continued to have dealings with him. All right. So that's a lesson to be learned. She waited a year later. That's something to look at and think about. All right. And then, of course, these other women come into play and they saying, oh, he did. And they all kind of seem like they all were saying similar stuff. So there's a lot of lessons to be learned in this case. All right. Just say it like that. So again, you guys can over here on YouTube, for those who are watching on Twitch, because I think it's no way to put comments out that I know of at this time. You're going to have to go to YouTube at Norwood Media Studios. You can go in the description, and you can click on the link to check out and read that document in full. And you can make your own decision on what's what. Now, what's in there is what's in there. I know you can get emotional about it and go by feelings, or you can go by the facts. Regardless of what you think, those are the facts in there. All right. And like I said, it's something to be understood and learned, because you can get your rights violated, whether you did something wrong or not. They violated his rights by putting him in jail when he was promised otherwise. So, and I think my understanding is that they can't bring none of this stuff back up anymore either. So I think everything is like done. All right. Well, anyway, I appreciate y'all for checking out the show as always. You heard me. And again, I hope this has enlightened you in some type of way. You got some knowledge out from it. I know some people still gonna be pissed regardless, but this should be kind of a eye-opening thing. After you put your feelings aside, let it still be something you learning from. All right. So with that being said, you know what it is. You rocking with the best. This is Thoughts of the Week. And I'm out till next time, man. Peace. If you are a real estate investor, or you're thinking about getting into the real estate business, you might want to pick up the Real Estate Investors Pack. It is 3 books from 3 different authors, only $19.95. The link will be in the description. Sit down and brainstorm potential things that can happen, all right? Potential situations that can occur. I'm giving you a list here of possible things that can happen. You got fires, you have flash floods, home invasions, hailstorms, hurricanes. A pipe might burst in your house because, it's real cold in the winter at that time. It might burst in the summer, all right? Just never know. Tornadoes, blizzards, snow, mudslides, earthquakes, etc. All right. To prepare yourself for potential emergencies, take the free course, Simple Emergency Planning in 4 Easy Steps. Did I mention free? The link is in the description.